Welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'm introducing a new concept that I have not spoken about on the channel before. So imagine that you are a magician, and you have the power to change reality with your software at a flick of a magic wand. And this is not just a fantasy that I'm talking about. Or speaking is hard. But it's actually what happens when you use feature flags in your development process. And feature flags basically give you the magical ability to introduce new features, test any new ideas that you may have, and if things go wrong, then you can roll back to previous changes with like ease and safety. So it's like you have a magical like a time machine and a crystal ball all rolled into one, which is allowing you to see the future of your product and adjust it in real time without the risk of bringing everything crashing down. So if I talk about a real world analogy, then imagine that a new restaurant is deciding to introduce a new dish, and instead of immediately adding it to the menu for all the customers, they first offer it as a special item to a selected number of guests. Now, this approach basically allows the restaurant to gather feedback and make adjustments and ensure that the kitchen can handle the preparation of the new dish effectively. And if the feedback is like positive, then the process is let's say the process is very smooth. Then the restaurant can basically add the dish to all the customers. And if the dish isn't well received, like it's not tasty or whatever, and there are some operational issues, then it can be removed from the special list without having to affect the entire menu or all the customers. Now, in this analogy, the new dish is like a new feature, and the decision to offer it only as a special item to a certain number of guests is akin to like using a feature flag, okay, in software development. So the restaurant can control the rollout and gather feedback before making a full commitment, just as developers can do it with feature flags. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And in the world of software development, uncertainty and risk are your biggest foes. So every new feature is like a venture into the unknown. So you may have questions like, is it going to work as intended? Is it going to be well received by the community and your users? Will it introduce new bugs? So on and so forth. So feature flags are basically your shield against these uncertainties. And if we talk about why we are using feature flags, what feature flags allow you to do. So it allows you to first of all deploy with confidence, so you can push your code to production without exposing it to all the users. This basically is a safety net that lets you test your new features into the real world and not just a staging environment. It also allows to make a data-driven decision, so use of A/B testing to see how changes perform in the wild, and let real user data get guide your development strategy and not just your gut feelings. And you can also customize user experiences, so personalize features for different user segments, and you can offer premium features to, let's say for example, premium users. You can test new features with the beta groups, and you can tailor your application to meet a diverse range of needs. And also you can fail gracefully, when things don't go as planned, which happens, quite some time. So you can turn off a feature with a switch instead of rolling back the entire deployment. And this keeps your services stable and your users happy. So you launched a, let's say, new dark theme, for example. You launched for your website a dark theme. Didn't work out. And you're like, okay, now we want to roll back. So instead of rolling back the entire deployment, you can just turn the, a magical wand. You can just turn that feature off, just like click of a button, and the dark mode will be rolled back. So this is why they're also called the feature flags. They're also called feature toggles, and these are essentially a powerful technique in software development that allows developers to turn certain functionalities on or off, typically without needing to deploy new code. Okay, and if we talk about what are the advantages, so gradual rollout, meaning feature flags can enable gradual rollouts of new features to a subset of users, as I already spoke about, and very, very useful when you're testing out new features or gaining feedback without affecting the entire user base. And if a new feature like causes problem, then obviously you can roll back, you can experiment, you can work on new features flexibly, and you can add in all your customizations and everything. Cool. So that's very interesting. something new we're talking about today. How do we do it, Kunal? And I'm a big advocate for what? Open source. So I'm a big advocate for open source projects, and today I'm going to introduce a nice tool to you called Flagsmith. If you haven't already started the GitHub repository, highly recommend checking it out. Flagsmith/Flagsmith. Start it on GitHub repo. There are some issues created as well, good first issues, so you can definitely contribute and get involved in the community. You can also join their channel. So if you go to the website, which is this one, you can scroll down and you can join their Discord over here. So you can see. So Twitter, LinkedIn, Discord, and you can check it out over there. So this is what I essentially mean. Let's say this is your website. You have a chat option over here. Toggle, and your chat option is now gone. Toggle, your chat option comes again. Dark mode off. Design 2.0 off, design 2.0 on. Pretty cool stuff. And Flagsmith, if you look at the website, you can check it out. It's an all-in-one feature flag tool for developing, implementing, and managing your feature flags. And you can have feature flags across multiple platforms, be that your mobile, your web, or your server-side applications. You can just wrap a section of code with a flag and then use Flagsmith to manage that feature. It's very powerful. And the point I mentioned about A/B testing, you can do that as well. And it says that you can also configure features for individual segments, users, and development environments. So like for staging, for production, you want to have different sort of like features. So you can set that as well. It also provides remote config as well. So basically you can combine all these, you can see feature toggles with a remote config to test and deploy new features. So what does that mean? Well as toggling a feature flag with remote config, as you can see on the website, it says that you can customize values for your features, which lets you deploy functional and visual changes to users without changing any code or pushing any updates. So if you want to learn more about it, we'll obviously see a nice little demo. You can see managing features. So we'll be creating new feature flags and doing all sorts of things. Remote application management, test changes without deployments, all sorts of things. Release with confidence, track changes, available in multiple languages and all sorts of things. Flutter, Python, PHP, Node.js, so on and so forth. Regarding the deployment options, they have a SaaS offering as well that you can check out. You can also deploy it on your own Kubernetes clusters, on your own private cloud, on-prem, whatever you like to do. I'll try to deploy it on Civo Kubernetes, and we'll also check out their SaaS platform over here. And yeah, that's basically about it. Let me just show you the documentation, and if you scroll down, you can see the documentation over here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign in, and I'm already signed in. So I'm going to turn off the dark mode. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a nice little demo. So if you just sign in, you can log into your account and that's it. But let me show you the demo. So this is what the dashboard looks like. You can have your project settings. I just have my website. That's it. Segments, create target group for users and various segments. So based on your user traits, you want to have certain features to like certain users. You can add those rules. You can compare environments and your features and everything. You can have integrations to Slack and all these other things. New Relic, Slack, Twilio, webhooks, Datadog. You can create your environment. I have, as you can see, 2 environments here, development and production. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a nice little example of how we can work with Flagsmith and use feature flags. And by the way, if you want to check it out, check out the links in the description below, and highly recommend you getting involved in their open source community as well. Also, one more thing I want to share is that they have released a new ebook, which is pretty cool. And you have tactics from leaders from big companies like Dynatrace, Flagsmith, and you'll learn some like real world, tips and all these other things around, when we talk about managing your projects, your infrastructure, all sorts of things. So if you look at the table of content, it's talking about observability, CI platforms, feature management, and oh, Servos is there as well. Nice. So highly recommend checking it out and exploring the full version. Again, the links can be found for this in the description below as well. So yeah, check it out. Okay, so what I want you to do is for the demo, just sign up and then you log in, and that would be it. You will create a project. I have created my project called website over here. And what Flagsmith does is that it's basically organizing the projects into separate environments, as you can see over here. So when you create a project, Flagsmith automatically creates the deployment and the production environment. Sorry, the development and the production environment. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create my first flag. So we should do something simple like whether a button shows up on our website or not. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to development. I'm going to go to features. I'm going to click on create a new feature. And now here, I'm going to give it an ID. So I'm going to say show demo button. Okay. And the flags that we are having here in Flagsmith, they are a combination of both Boolean value, which is the flag state, and also a string or an integer or Boolean value, which is the value of the flag. So that would be over here. So for now, we're only going to use the Boolean value and to control whether the button shows or it doesn't show. And by default, we're going to leave it disabled. So we don't want it to be enabled by default. And that should be it. I'm going to create it. Okay, so that is done. And this will turn show demo button on. Yep, that's good. All right, no worries. So now that we have it, we're going to import the JavaScript SDK. So install the SDK. I'm going to go with JavaScript. There we go. Initialize your project. And this is my code sample to try it out and run it. All right, cool. Okay, so I'm trying to show you how easy it is to, set up feature flags. So obviously the possibilities are endless, but let me just show you how simple it can be when using Flagsmith. So I'm going to make a simple website. Okay, I'm just going to say index.html. Okay, and in my desktop here, I have my index.html that I'm going to open in VS Code. And here I have my index.html. So doc type HTML. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see. HTML, lang, some just standard stuff. And then I'm going to have my head. And I will have a body as well. In the head, I'm just going to add meta. Char set, we're going to do UTF-8. Okay, very standard stuff, just your template. I'm going to give it a title, website, good enough, and that's it. Now what I'm going to do is, let's do a simple feature flag toggle. So ideally you have your website and you have a feature that you want to just, toggle. If I click on this button, turn it off right now. If I turn it on, the button should show up on my website. If I turn it off, then the button should disappear from my website. That's what I want to do. So what am I going to do is, let me just first have a button. So I'm going to say h1 button div input type is equal to submit, value is equal to You can give it anything. And here I will also write ID, which is equal to submit button. You can add in a style as well. Just say display none. Okay, not a problem. Now, if I just open this HTML page, okay, my button, not a problem. Just a little heading I have over here, and that's good. Okay. So what do I want to do now is that it says installing the SDK, you can add in a script tag. So I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to add in a script tag over here. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to connect it with our Flagsmith API. So when we connect to the Flagsmith API, I can go in my settings and SDK keys. This is the key that I want. Okay, so when you initialize the Flagsmith SDK, this is the ID, the environment ID that you have to provide, so your local code knows whom to communicate with. Okay, so the SDK basically knows which project and the environment to grab the flags from, and here you just need to copy this and paste it in your, you have to initialize Flagsmith in your local repository, because obviously this is an online website. I have to connect it with its API. So what I'm going to do is script. Okay, and what we're going to do over here is we're going to say Flagsmith dot init. Now here I'm going to give an environment ID. This will be equal to, copy this. That's step number one. Now on change, what do you want to do? On change, I'm going to pass in old flags and any parameters. Okay, now if Flagsmith dot has a feature show demo button, that was the name that we gave it. I'm going to take a variable submit button document dot get element by ID submit button, and then submit button dot style dot display block. That should be it. Okay, so now if I open this index file, you can see button, no button over here right now. I turn the toggle on, refresh, and now the button is displayed. If I zoom in, okay, so your website is here. You want to make a change in the website. I want to show button to the users. Okay, I don't want to show button. I will just turn it off, refresh, the button is gone. I want to show button to the users. I will just turn my button on, refresh, button is on. Now the possibilities are endless. This is just, I wanted to show you a simple example. But if you go to the documentation, which is pretty cool, you can find some advanced use cases and some guides, SDKs for other stuff like Flutter, Next.js, CLI, all sorts of things. It's very nice, very cool. One thing that reminds me of it is if you have any specific use case you want me to cover, let me know in the comment section below. Happy to do it. But this was an introduction to your feature flags. If you don't know what those are and why you would want to use it, I hope this video was good enough to convince you. One more thing I want to show you is if I open up this with Google Chrome, okay, I'm going to open it in Google Chrome. I'm going to go inspect and I'm going to go to network and I'm going to go to fetch. I'm going to refresh. So you can see it's making a call to Flagsmith API. Cool. That's because I added the SDK over here, this key, environment key. Cool. So you can create new features and without needing to change your code in the website or affecting production or whatever, you can just toggle it on and off. Something works, great. If something breaks, no problem. I'll just turn it off like this. I love it. It's very good. So make sure you check it out. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. But should be pretty straightforward and yeah, happy to help. All right, so that was about feature flags. We are living in a rapidly evolving landscape of software development, and obviously continuously learning as a developer, your learning never stops, and staying ahead of the curve is like essential. So feature flags, I would say, there's not just a tool, but it's like a paradigm shift in how we think about deploying, testing, and managing software. So feature flags, it's pretty cool stuff. Highly recommend checking it out. It empowers you to be more agile, more experimental, and ultimately more successful in delivering software that delights, your users. And I would just say embrace feature flags and take your first step towards a more controlled, more creative, and a more confident future in software development. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.